Hello and welcome back to Immigration News and Views. My name is David Nachman. I'm one of the managing attorneys at the Nachman Fawani Zimochek Law Group, also known as the Visa Serve team. We're located here in Ridgewood, New Jersey. We also have an office in Midtown Manhattan, and we have an affiliated office in Mumbai, India, and also an affiliated office in Canada. Today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about a visa classification, which is a classification created for the purposes of protecting victims of certain crimes. It's called the U visa. And oftentimes we have individuals who will come in and tell us their story, and when they're not, and you may have heard me refer in one of my prior videos to the U visa as being an interesting option for individuals who are not documented, and that's because you don't have to be in status in order to obtain a U visa in the United States. So what is the U visa? Well, basically what the U visa does is it allows victims of certain crimes to be able to make applications here in the United States to be in what's called U visa status. If their U visa status is granted, then they are entitled to work authorization, and with that work authorization, they of course can engage in free market employment. So how does one, first of all, how does one qualify for U visa status? Well, an individual has to be someone who is subjected to some type of a crime, and a victim of a certain crime. So some examples of some of the crimes that individuals have to be victims of, for example, are abduction, abusive sexual contact, blackmail, domestic violence, extortion, false imprisonment, perjury, hostage taking, peonage, etc. So there's a whole list of the types of crimes that a person needs to be a victim of. But there's also a catch-all provision at the end of this list which says that other related crimes. So it doesn't necessarily have to be one of the crimes on the list. It could be a related crime. So how does one go about proving this? Well, oftentimes when an individual comes in and they say that they have been a victim of one of these crimes, usually there's going to be a police report, or there are going to be hospital reports, or there are going to be some type of incident reports that are going to allow us to be able to prove the case. What we'll do is we'll work with the individual who alleges that he or she is a victim of a certain crime, put together a personal statement by them. Also, this will be accompanied by other evidence, such as proof that the individual has gone for some type of counseling and how this crime that was inflicted upon them has impacted them psychologically and or physically. So what the way that this type of case rolls out is it's done on a form I-918. So what you do is you file an I-918 form, but the most important part of the I-918 form is what's called the Supplement B. And the Supplement B has to be actually filled out by the law enforcement officer or by the law enforcement agent. And what they're attesting to is the fact that the individual has in fact been a victim of a certain crime on the list which is set forth on the Supplement B, and that the individual is willing to provide cooperation and credible evidence which will lead hopefully to the resolution of this potential crime. Oftentimes the crime is actually resolved, and the law enforcement officials may still have an ongoing file, but the most important thing is that if you have a law enforcement agent who's willing to sign that Supplement B, that's the key to being able to get the U visa. Also, what you should know with regard to the U visa is that you can get it for family members, so spouses and children can obtain derivative U visas. And again, once again, it's very important for you to know that you don't have to be in status in order to get the U visa. Once you have a U visa and it's been approved, and by the way, there is a limitation on the number of U visas that are granted each year, and then what happens is the USCIS will queue up these cases and grant them according to the numbers that are given each year. In the meantime, individuals will be allowed, if they're in queue, to extend their employment authorization documents. One of the most important characteristics of the U visa classification is an individual's ability to apply for the green card. So once a person has U visa status for 2 full years, they can then make an application for the green card. So this is a wonderful way for individuals, of course, who have been victims of certain crimes and who are undocumented in the United States to cooperate with law enforcement to obtain a potential benefit, immigration benefit here in the United States. Thanks so much for being with us today, and I hope that this information with regard to the U visa is generally helpful to you. If you know any friends, family, or anyone who has been a victim of a certain crime, please be sure that they find their way to consult with a qualified immigration professional who might be able to do this application on their behalf. Thanks very much for being with us. Bye now.